Welcome back, everybody. We have such a show ahead of us that I don't even want to waste time trying to explain the type of show. And we're going to get into Trump giving maybe the craziest answer ever on the Epstein-Ghislaine topic, and then Howard Lutnick continuing to sort of be a thorn in Trump's side on that. But it's a stressful time, and I think that we need a little bit of joy. So just to kind of warm you up in today's show, before getting into the meat of this subject, let me play this for you from a Pam Bondi hearing.
And I'll point out, Senator Kennedy has a new book about testing negative for stupid, so I hope I test negative for stupid. I hope I meet the threshold of
You do meet it, and I talk in the book about the tattoo of the Backstreet Boys on your back.
Look, I can't help that you don't want to reach young people. I think young people are the future, damn it, and I'll do whatever steps are needed.
Backstreet Boys?
That would be on Vice President Vance's playlist, I heard, that got hacked.
We've all been that person before. Two people are talking, you're not really a part of the conversation. You're like, well, what about this? But this was next level.
Playlist, I heard, that got hacked.
Yeah. And one of the senators just goes, all right, Pam. So John Kennedy was there. You'll hear him grilling Pam just in a second about Howard Lutnick and his recent statement on Epstein.
It's gross.
He did say that, but didn't portray Trump in the best of lights. But let's just start with Trump here. Trump gets asked, are you considering any form of clemency? Would you consider pardoning? Something we've been following, and just surely even Trump, surely all the reasons he'd have, he wouldn't pardon or commute the sentence of Ghislaine Maxwell, right? And for the maybe fifth time, he gives an answer like this, but he plays dumb in the most absurd ways you can imagine.
Say it. The Supreme Court is back, and they rejected today an appeal by Ghislaine Maxwell to overturn her conviction. That means her only chance of getting out of prison is a pardon from you. Is that something you're...
Who are we talking about?
Ghislaine Maxwell.
I haven't heard the name in so long. I can say this, that I'd have to take a look at it. I would have to take a look. Did they reject that?
She wanted to appeal her conviction.
And what happened?
They said that they were not going to hear her appeal.
I see. Well, I'll take a look at it. I will speak to the DOJ. I wouldn't consider it or not consider it. I don't know anything about it. So, but I'll speak. I will speak to the DOJ.
Why would she be a candidate for clemency, sir?
I don't know. I mean, I'd have to speak to the DOJ. I'll look at it. I have a lot of people who have asked me for pardons. I call him Puff Daddy has asked me for a pardon.
But she was convicted of child sex trafficking.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to take a look at it. I have to ask DOJ. I didn't know they rejected it. I didn't know she was even asking for it, frankly.
So he's responding to Ghislaine Maxwell losing her bid to get the Supreme Court to hear her appeal case. And Trump's response is, who? Ghislaine Maxwell? Who is it? Backstreet Boys? I don't know. I don't understand what you're saying. And it would be maybe a more convincing act if just a couple months ago he didn't say this.
Would you consider a pardon or a commutation for Ghislaine Maxwell if she's cooperating?
It's something I haven't thought about. It's really something. It's something I'm allowed to do it, but it's something I have not thought about.
But you wouldn't rule it out, sir?
That was at the end of July. But he just went, I haven't heard that name in so long. That's so weird. It's sort of like, I don't know. I haven't heard about the Michael Jackson in a while. I don't know. Just haven't heard that. The Texas Oilers, since they turned to Texans, I haven't even heard the Oilers. That's such a weird. But you just answered a question about it a couple months ago, right nearing the beginning of August. We're in October. And so then you have to ask yourself, he still hadn't thought about it back then. All the way to now, he hasn't thought about it. Or this is his thinking period, and why would he even need to consider it for so long? So I thought it was shocking yesterday when we covered Levitt saying, well, I mean, I haven't heard any discussions about it, but you never know. I'm not going to comment on that. And now Trump's on the record again, months into this whole saga, saying, I'll take a look at it, about a notorious sex trafficker, his former buddy, and the person that he wished well. And even his hardcore supporter, Laura Loomer, is saying, I strongly advise against anyone lobbying the Trump administration and the DOJ to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell. Do not do it. I repeat, do not do it. There will be no coming back from that. I repeat again, for the love of God, do not do it. Who really cares about who's going to try to lobby, though? This should be, I know she did tag Trump, but this should just be directed at Trump. It's funny that it's sort of like she's saying, please, for the love of God, don't ask Trump to pardon her, because damn it, he will. If you ask him, he will. Don't bring this up to him. Scary times. And I mean, I don't really have to fill in the blanks for you, but let's just say it's the height of suspiciousness. Say what you will about Biden. If Biden got asked, will you pardon Ghislaine Maxwell? He would have said no.
Not at all.
Not at all. Ghislaine Maxwell. I haven't heard that name in so long. There's a guy named Roger, bad guy. Grew up with him. He did a lot of bad things. I said, wow. Someone brought up Roger. I said, that's a son of a bitch. I'm not going to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell. He'd say that. That's what he would say. But he wouldn't say, I'm still thinking about it, or I'm going to have to look at it. Okay, so then let me play this grilling from Republican Senator John Kennedy first, and then I'll show you what he's talking about if you forgot about it. But he's in this hearing with Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, saying, hey, Howard Lutnick made these interesting statements about Epstein recently. Howard Lutnick's Trump's Commerce Secretary. Do you have anything to say about that? Have you talked to Howard Lutnick about what he knew? And Bondi's response is, rough. While we watch this, please do, if you appreciate the show, click the subscribe button. It is free, but it supports the work that we do. And I have to say, I'm just about ready to take back all of my mockery of John Kennedy's weird, folksy cosplay thing he does.
You're Willie Nelson high.
I'm so funny, and I make all these different folksy references. Because this was good. This was good enough to make me go, am I sorry to John? Look at this.
Secretary Howard Lutnick on October 1 gave an interview to the New York Post about Mr. Epstein. And he described Mr. Epstein as, quote, the greatest blackmailer ever, close quote. Have you reviewed that transcript of that interview?
I have not reviewed the transcript, but I saw the clip of it.
Okay.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I'm trying not to interrupt. I'm trying not to make the references, but it is the most John Kennedy thing ever to go on March 1. Not March 1st, March 1. And then for him to say, have you reviewed the transcript? Just say, have you watched the interview? Who reviews the transcripts?
It appears that Secretary Lutnick was Mr. Epstein's next door neighbor. In fact, their townhomes shared a wall. Mm. And the reporter that was talking to Mr. Lutnick, she asked how other prominent men could have been associated with Epstein when Mr. Lutnick could immediately sense that he was a, quote, pervert. And then Secretary Lutnick said, or rather the reporter said, did they see it and ignore it? Do you remember that from the interview?
I do.
And Commerce Secretary Lutnick said, no, they participated. And then Commerce Secretary Lutnick goes on to say, quote, that's what his MO was. You know, get a massage. And what happened in that massage room, I assume, was a video. This guy was the greatest blackmailer ever, blackmailed people. That's how he had money, end quote. Is that true?
Senator, as our July memo said, we did not uncover evidence. This case has gone through 3 administrations, as well as former U.S. Attorney Alex Acosta.
I know that, Pam, but Have you interviewed Secretary Lutnick?
No, Senator.
Do you plan to?
If he wants to talk to the FBI or the FBI wants to talk to him, that is more than on.
Don't you think you ought to talk to him after this interview?
Senator, if Howard Lutnick wants to speak to the FBI and if Director Patel wants to speak to Howard Lutnick, absolutely.
Okay. Maybe we ought to get Mr. Lutnick in here too, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, John. You know what? Talk about the liberal, avocado eating, non-binary loving, childless cat lady humping liberals all you want if you're going to keep doing that, because I did appreciate that. And it takes some level of legitimacy to, even with someone on your quote-unquote side, to actually ask a real question, because later in the show we'll show you what some of the other Republicans were asking. It was less real. But to remind you of what is being referenced here, we don't just have the transcript, we have the video of the interview with Howard Lutnick. And again, he was next door neighbors with Epstein, and he tells this kind of long, extended story, every little detail of him walking over and him going into the home, and then Epstein gets really close to him, and he says, oh, look, massage, right kind of massages, and then Lutnick gets a weird vibe, and he leaves, and then it picks up here where he makes that reference to who would stayed friends with Epstein, which is a pretty interesting claim for Lutnick to make, because obviously his boss stayed friends with Epstein for quite a while.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's my story. A one and absolutely done.
Right. So
don't use that phrase, one and done. Don't use that phrase, Howard. He means one and he didn't. Oh gosh, Howard, I gotta help you out here. He didn't get a massage. He one and done, like one time he hung out with Epstein.
I mean, that's an incredible story that you could pick up that he was a pervert.
It's gross. The guy's gross. Right with my wife. Like, he's gross. The guy's gross. This was not, the deep nuance of Howard Lutnick. This guy's gross.
Right. So how come Bill Gates and all these other people could hang around him and not see what you saw? Or did they see it and ignore it? Or
no, they participated.
Right.
That's what his MO was, get a massage. And what happened in that massage room, I assume, was on video. This guy was the greatest blackmailer ever. Blackmailed people. That's how he had money. So
what happened to those videos? Why is there now such a dearth of information when, Donald Trump's people are running the FBI and the DOJ?
I assume way back when they traded those videos in exchange for him getting that 18-month sentence, which allowed him to have visits and be out of jail. I mean, he's a serial sex offender. How could he get 18 months and be able to go to his office during the day and have visitors and stuff? It must have been a trade.
Yeah, but who would they trade the videos with? The federal government? I'm assuming that's who he's talking about. So then where did they go is the question that's being asked.
My assumption, I have no knowledge, but my assumption is there was a trade for the videos because there were people on those videos.
And have you talked to Donald Trump about this and shared your theory?
No, I mean, he knows the story.
Right.
But my story, that, I was one and done with the guy. He knows that story, but that's it.
He would have been interested in that.
Okay. He wants us to know he was one and done with Epstein. But, I mean, for you to get asked two questions. One, why did such powerful people, and yeah, you can bring up Clinton associating, Gates associating, Trump associating for so long. Why did they keep associating if even you only interacted with him once? You one and done to that sucker, and then you realized he was a freak. And Lutnick's response there is they were participating. And then, then where did the evidence you're saying exists go? And he says that the authorities traded because of who was in those videos, but then where did they go then? Because now the authorities, at least if we're talking about the current administration, is all Trump and his loyalists. And then for that to be combined with, obviously, them still lobbying against the discharge petition to get full transparency, and Trump not ruling out pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell. A horrible combination of events.
And then just one nuance of Howard Lutnick.
Then just one miscellaneous item from the press conference where Trump said that about Ghislaine Maxwell. He's started to ponder a lot more recently. Heaven. I never heard in his past life or pre the last year him talking a lot about wanting to give into heaven or what lets you get into heaven or thinking about that at all. And it came up again, but revealed something so deep about Trump's character. Listen to this.
Celebrating
it was unbelievable.
250th. Can you talk about that? And as we get closer to America's 250th, you've initiated a prayer initiative as well.
Yeah.
Talk to me about both of those events and why they're so important, particularly the prayer initiative going forward to the...
Well, we have, and we're dealing, as you know, with all of the different, and not just evangelicals, Christians. We're dealing with lots of different faiths, religions, and I felt for a long time that if a country doesn't have religion, doesn't have faith, doesn't have God, it's going to be very hard to be a good country. There's no reason to be good. I want to be good because you want to prove to God that you're good, so you go to that next step, right? So that's very important to me. I think it's really very important. And yesterday was amazing.
Now, I've heard a lot of people say stuff like that. And of course, we want God. We want God all the time, everywhere, all over. But there is a weird admission there to say, I want to be good so I can get to that next place. Otherwise, why else would you be good? Which is so Trump's mindset. He says, because why else? Otherwise, you have no reason to be good. Well, yeah, that's the problem with your thinking a lot. I think a lot of people, even people who believe in God, still think there's an underlying good to being good. Maybe they feel some inherent association with their fellow people. Not Trump. Just recently, he's been thinking, all right, I lived my whole life not believing in anything God-wise, obviously. And then I kind of did it as a shtick for political reasons. But now I'm thinking, what if there's that off chance there is a heaven? I'm not going to go there, right? I think Trump started to, surely I'm not the top contender for heaven. And so he's thinking about that. But then why are you not changing your actions at all then? Is this behavior that you're exhibiting really heavenly? In your perception, is this how people get into heaven the last year, the way you've been behaving? I don't think so. I don't know. I'm not the arbiter of it. But I don't think so.